Okay, sorry, it said it was starting and now it's on the air. So my name's Sarah. I am one of the admissions counselors here at Champlain, and I am here to introduce one of our Google Hangouts for the spring semester. We've already had 3 other Hangouts, so if you're interested in checking those out, they're on our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions during this Hangout, feel free to tweet at us. Our Twitter is Champlain SA, the letters SA, so feel free to send us some questions. And now I'm going to hand it over to Paige, who is our moderator, and she'll introduce the Hangout and our different guests.
All right, so hi everyone. My name's Paige. I'm a senior here at Champlain, and I'm a Management of Creative Media major. So today we're going to be talking about the different divisions at Champlain. So we have 4 different divisions here. We have our Stiller School of Business, our Communication and Creative Media division, our Information Technology and Sciences division, and the Education and Human Studies division. And then we also have our core division, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So for each division, you'll kind of get to hear about the different classes that you might be taking, the professors, and some internships that students have had. So we're going to start off by talking to our Stiller School of Business students, which are Emily and Allie. So if you guys want to start off talking about some classes that you've had or some projects that you've worked on in your classes, and either of you can start, whoever wants to jump in on it.
Go ahead, Allie. Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Allie. And I'm a senior marketing major with a digital marketing specialization. I'm from Nashua, New Hampshire. I think that kind of got all my info. And so some things that I really like about the business division being in marketing, we've had some really cool projects working with clients. Actually, my last semester we just worked with a beer brewery here in Burlington, and we redid their whole website. We did a digital audit for them, and actually I was working with them outside of class during the time. So I know everyone else wants to introduce themselves, but that's kind of just quickly one of my favorite things here is just working with the clients, and working with a beer brewery was definitely my favorite.
Okay, I'll go now. Hi, my name is Emily Rice. I am a junior management innovation major with a minor in marketing. Probably my favorite thing about the Stiller School of Business is the faculty here. They're absolutely phenomenal. Actually, a good example for myself, this semester alone, my one innovation class, there's 5 of us in the class to begin with, but you kind of develop an awesome relationship with the professor, especially when it's a class of 5. But he kind of always knew that I had a passion for Ben & Jerry's. And I was telling him how my end goal was to get an internship at Ben & Jerry's, which is pretty cool. So he drove over to the South Burlington headquarters with me and introduced me to over 3 people in the company. And now I actually have a really good relationship with Ben & Jerry's, which is pretty sweet. So pretty good example, I think.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So, Allie, do you want to talk about some of the professors that you've had during your time here? You might want to unmute your microphone.
I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I would say all of my professors have been amazing. Whenever anybody asks me about the school, I always love to talk about my professors because they're so great. They really invest time in, like Emily said, you can tell them something that you're interested in, and they'll make sure that they can do what's in their power to help you kind of get into that industry or that brand or whatever it is. So I'd have to say my favorite professor here is Elaine Young. She's pretty well known in the Burlington area. She's my digital marketing teacher. She's actually the one who got me into digital marketing. And she's great. She gives us, I've had probably 4 classes with her, including my capstone, and every class I've had with her, we've worked with clients. So her class is less about her lecturing in front of the class, and it's more about her teaching us ways to work with our client to better do a digital audit, social media rebranding, things like that. And so, we've worked with clients that, some students have gotten internships with them after working with the clients. So that's really my favorite part. And yeah, so Elaine Young, definitely my favorite. Hope she sees this because she's so great.
And since you brought it up, do you want to talk about your capstone a little bit?
Yeah, so my capstone, pretty much the idea for Marketing Capstone was to create a digital identity. So anything online that would really show future employers or even people looking you up online who you are in the best positive light. So that could really be anything. We really got to run with that and do anything we wanted. So I decided to create a blog because I was really excited about creating a blog for about a year. So I had studied abroad, and I did blogging briefly when I was abroad, so I wanted to continue that. So I did like a broke 20-something blog, and I would make recipes and do tips about shopping and whine about being a senior, different blog posts like that. And it actually got a lot of really great traction. And so I'm continuing it now. My capstone was last semester, and I'm still posting to it. So it was really great. And actually now going to job interviews, I have it on my resume, and they see it as a writing examples, things like that. And being able to promote yourself online is really important, especially for the major that I'm in. So yeah, it was really great.
All right. So one of the other things about Champlain is that you may have heard is that we're a really career-focused school. So one of the things we're really proud of is our job placement rates after graduation. So in the Stiller School of Business, we had a 95% employment rate a year after graduation for the seniors in 2014, and 93% of those jobs were in their fields. So Allie, you and Emily, do you want to talk about some of the internships you've had here and maybe what your plans after graduation are for the senior?
Yeah. Sorry, I've been talking this whole time, but I guess I'll start off again. So I've had 6 internships here at Champlain. I love saying it because I'm super stoked about it. Super proud of myself, and love to talk about the teachers because they've helped me with that. I've worked for national companies. I've worked for Keurig, 7th generation, both of which are based up here. Currently working for Cabot, and that is what I will continue to do after graduation. Cabot Creamery, so go cheese, woohoo! And so I've had internships from my freshman year all the way to my senior year. It's something I've been really enthusiastic about. I love working. I love doing hands-on learning. So I really had expressed an interest to my teachers during my time here, telling them, here's my next goal. I just worked at Keurig, my next goal is 7th generation, and they would help me get to the goal, the goal that I set. They're really great about students that are willing to come to them and say, hey, this is what I want. They're really willing to help you do what you want to do. So yeah, I've had a great experience with internships here. I've interned all summer long throughout my semesters here, and Champlain, they really push you to get the internships, but they really help you as well, and they do a great job with it.
Okay, I'll go now. So I am a junior, and I have had 5 internships since being at Champlain. I do a lot during the summertime for sure. Definitely living up here in Burlington during the summer is something that everyone should experience at least once. So I definitely recommend living here and doing a sweet internship if you can. The reason why I think, once again, I'm pretty proud to say that I'm a junior and I have 5 internships, but I definitely would not have such a high number if it weren't for my career service advisor, Papa Ware. She's phenomenal. Definitely recommend the second you get here, get to know. So there's an advisor for every single division. So Pat Ware just happens to be the business division advisor, but for CCM, EHS, you'll have your own advisor. But I recommend as soon as you get here, get to know them, create that relationship with them right away, because the better they know you, the better they're going to be able to help you with getting those internships. They're going to be able to help you with those interview skills, writing cover letters, resumes, just basically everything that you need to get those internships. So definitely think without them, I would not be where I am for sure.
All right, so thanks, Allie and Emily. So we're going to move on from the Stiller School of Business to our Information Technology and Sciences division. So today we have Mary and John to talk to you about that. So if you guys want to start by introducing yourselves and talking about some of the classes that you've taken in your major so far.
Sure, I'm going to go ahead. So I'm Mary Reilly. I am a senior in the digital forensics major here, and I am from Reading, Pennsylvania. And over the course of my 4 years here, I've had some pretty exciting and fun work opportunities, probably the two most significant of which are working for a lab on campus, the Leahy Center for Digital Investigation, and working in LA for DirecTV headquarters as an intern. And it's just been a really fascinating major. It's one of the only ones in the country, and Champlain is definitely one of the first to develop it. So it's a really exciting degree program, getting to learn about kind of the intrinsic exactly like how data is stored, where to look for evidence, of computer crimes, but really just any kind of crime that involves digital devices. So yeah, it's been really exciting and really rewarding.
So I'm John Trusheim. I'm a first-year game programming student. I come from Acton, Massachusetts, and it's just been a great major. Probably my favorite class that I've taken is Game History and Development, which is technically a game major class, not directly computer science, but it was one of the most interesting classes I've ever taken. It's not just the how to make a game or anything, it's the actual history of video games and games before that, board games, card games, etc. And it was just an amazing class. Professor Ware is probably my favorite professor I've had so far. He was a fairly difficult grader, but he told you exactly what you did wrong and how to fix it and how to improve. So that was very nice.
So, Mary, do you want to talk about some of the professors you've had and maybe your career advisor if you talk to them as well?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I've had a lot of really awesome professors, and of the professors I have, they're all people coming in with industry experience, and a lot of them have worked across the country or like even around the world. So it's really awesome to get all their different kinds of perspectives, and it's been a very personal relationship that I have with my professors, and they're the kind of people that are going to notice when you're not in class. They're going to reach out to you when you're struggling. So it's been really awesome to be able to have those professionals to lean on. And also, for instance, one of my professors is also the director of the lab I mentioned before, the Leahy Center for Digital Investigation. And I don't want to jump into all the details of that because it's something I love to talk about, and I'll talk about it for 20 years. But he's like an amazing mentor as well as a professor, and as well as being my boss in the past. And being able to work next to him has been an incredibly rewarding experience, and just super exciting. And as far as career advising goes, Mark Samuto is the career advisor for the ITS division, and he's definitely helped me cultivate some amazing opportunities, and he was definitely a huge part in helping me get involved in that DirecTV job across the country last summer. We've had a Champlain intern before there, and we established a good relationship with them, and that was a huge part of getting my foot in the door and getting to experience something that exciting and that new for me.
Yeah, and so just to read some more career statistics for you, in the ITS division in 2014, we had 97% of our graduates employed after graduation, and 95% of those were in their field. And obviously each major is a little bit different, but that's just kind of the overall statistics. So Mary, as a senior, since I made Allie talk about her capstone, do you want to talk about your capstone as well?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's all I think and talk about these days anyway, so it makes sense. But yeah, the digital forensics capstone, it's a little bit open-ended. It's a year-long capstone where you work on a research or development project over the course of the year. And for a lot of people, what that means is researching a new technology and investigating what can be forensically recovered for it. What I've done for mine is developed a mobile phone application for Android Marshmallow, which is the newest version of Android that's come out. And what it does is it's very simple, like push-button interface that helps you delete or modify phone call logs. So what I'm trying to do by developing this application is I just want to push the boundaries of like what's possible in terms of kind of modifying or deleting evidence in the newest version of Android. So it's definitely a way of trying to like look at new technologies from the eyes of the bad guys, if you will, and see what is possible to manipulate and what digital forensic examiners should be on the lookout for in upcoming years or even months. And yeah, it's been tough but really exciting and rewarding. I've had support from a couple of different professors and classmates on campus. Never programmed in Java before. That's what I'm using, so I've learned a lot, and it's been really fun.
Awesome. So, John, I know you're a first year here at Champlain, but is there anything that you're kind of looking forward to getting involved in your major or anything like that?
I'm looking forward to the opportunity for internships. As a first year, I haven't had any yet, but I'm really excited to go experience what it's really like to be out in the workforce and just have a lot of fun and just experience the actual workforce.
Awesome. So thanks, guys. We're going to move on to the Communication and Creative Media Division. So we have Dominique and Duncan talking to us from there. So if you guys want to introduce yourself and talk about some of your classes.
All right, Dom, you go first.
Awesome. So my name is Dominique, and I am a second-year broadcast media production major. So in my first year, I had no experience with cameras or audio or video production whatsoever. I just kind of had an interest in it. But one of the great things we have at Champlain is no matter what major you are, you're in the upside-down curriculum, so you get to start classes based on your major right off the gate. So my first semester, I was learning applications like Adobe Premiere Pro. I was learning how to edit my own videos, and I was getting hands-on equipment. And professors are really good about teaching you how to rent equipment and bringing people in from media services and kind of getting you connected with people like that, so you know just exactly how to make projects and exactly what you want to do. So a lot of people sometimes get more interested in video or post-production, and Champlain overall has been really good about teaching me all those kind of skills right off the bat.
All right, I'm Duncan. I'm a first-year public relations major, although my major is kind of extinct now, but it's a specialization through communications. My favorite class would probably be public speaking, but the reason why I like public relations, or PR for short, is that we have been able to reinstate our chapter of PRSSA, that's Public Relations Student Society of America. I'm a secretary currently right now up for re-election, and we were able to travel to Boston this year to do a networking event. And I was able to meet some really, really cool people through that event, people who are not just in the PR department, but people who lead in different departments of each company. So it was really great to not only meet the professionals in the field, but also meet other students who are interested in public relations. And so that club, PRSSA here, has really done me a good job of getting to know other people within my field. And the reason why I chose PR was because growing up, I was always good at multiple things. I was never the best at it, at just one thing. And so what I really liked about public relations is that you dip your feet into a lot of different fields. You dip your feet into graphic design, you dip your feet into cinematography, you dip your feet into regular photography, journalism, broadcast writing. There are a bunch of different areas that you get to experience, and that was something that I really, really enjoyed. And all of those things I've been able to take just during my first year here, and so that's ultimately why I came to Champlain.
Great. So do you guys want to talk about maybe some professors that you've had, or any specific classes you've had with professors or career advisors like some of the others have touched on?
Yeah, I can kind of talk about that. So like I said, in my first semester, my first year, I didn't have any experience. And then throughout the year, I gained a lot of experience and kind of discovered like what I like to do. So I decided at the end of my first year that I wanted to have a summer internship. And my schedule didn't really allow for like a traditional internship at a company per se, but I went to my advisor and I asked his advice if there was anything that I could do, and he said if there was somebody I wanted to work with and create like a promotional video for them, I should just reach out to them. And at the time I was volunteering at a nonprofit organization in my hometown, so I reached out to them and said like, hey, if I can make a video for you guys, that would be awesome. And they said, yes, of course. So it was kind of like a win-win for both of us. I got this experience, so I got to write my own script. I got to film everything. I got to edit the whole thing. I got to conduct interviews. I got to do all the post-production. I got to create some graphic design, like graphics for them throughout the video. And out of it, they got like a video that they could use on their website, they could use on Facebook, on social media. So it was great because after my first year, I got to get some really professional experience, and it was a really great opportunity that I wouldn't have had if I didn't have like an advisor here that was just really hands-on and knew what he was doing, which is awesome.
So for me, I haven't been able to experience any internships yet, but I'm looking into study abroad internships right now. I have a really great faculty advisor. Her name's Nancy Kerr, and so right now is about the time for registration for next semester's classes, and I had to get some of my classes approved. And so my faculty advisor, I stopped by her office and said, hey, can you just approve these classes for me real quick? She said, boom, done, easy. And I have a really great relationship with my faculty advisor, and I'm really excited to start that internship right now, internship search process.
Cool. So on the subject of internships, I'll share those career statistics again. So in the CCM division, they have 94% of graduates in 2014 employed after 1 year after graduation, and 86% of those are employed in their field. So definitely a great division to go into. Do you guys have any last things you want to say about it before we move on to EHS?
Come to the CCM department. It's a lot of fun. There's some really, really great professors here, especially faculty advisors, and also join the public relations crew. That's all I can say. It's a smaller department, but what I really like about it is that because it's such a small department, it's very intimate, and you get to know everyone very quickly, and the people within the PR department are really authentic. They're just genuine human beings, and that's something that I really look forward in people. And so I think I found a really, really great group of people, and I'm really happy with it.
I would kind of reiterate what Duncan said about how you get to have a lot of experience in a lot of different things. So even though I'm taking a lot of like audio and video production classes, I've also taken graphic design classes and writing classes and things like that. So if you would consider going into the CCM division, just know that if you have no experience in anything whatsoever, Champlain's really good about giving you the tools to create that experience and getting critiques and actual projects to just like make your work even better and better.
All right, so now we're going to talk to Megan and Michelle in the Education and Human Studies division. So do you guys want to introduce yourself and then talk about some of the classes that you've taken?
Okay, I will go first if that's all right.
No, go for it.
Okay, I am Megan. I am a junior criminal justice major from Holliston, Massachusetts, and I love being a criminal justice major because our curriculum is very open, and Phil Sycon, the academic advisor, he's very into criminal justice majors exploring the Education and Human Studies division. So he really pushes for us to learn about like the bridges is what he calls it. So I've been doing a lot of social work classes on top of my criminal justice ones, which has been really fun. I guess as fun as it can be, because like I loved taking family violence, which is kind of a tough topic, but the way that it was taught at Champlain, it was co-taught when I took it by a woman who is a prosecutor in family court, and then also another woman who is a social worker. So that was a really fun dynamic between the two, and hearing their real hand experience in the class. Like, our professor would bring in a court case and she'd be like, read it, tell me everything that you know about this from just reading the court case, and then we would talk about it in class, and she was like, well, I was the prosecutor on this case, so let me tell you how it actually went. And that was really great to just have her experience be the lessons in the classroom, which I believe is kind of how most of the classes are here at Champlain, where it's very, you know, you're not just reading a textbook all the time. Like, you're reading a textbook and then your professor will come in and tell you about this one time that they actually had to use what was in the book, which is a lot of my criminal justice classes right now. It's just reading a book and then the professor comes in and is like, yeah, this one time I was working a case and blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, so I'm Michelle Garvey. Sorry, I don't have a bottom third. It wasn't cooperating very well. But I am from Stonington, Connecticut, and I'm an early childhood elementary education major with a minor in foreign languages. So I'm focusing on Spanish, and French is my secondary language. What I really love about the education classes at Champlain is that a lot of them are taught by educators in towns surrounding Burlington, so we get a really awesome perspective on different schools that are around, and they really have current information in the field at the moment, and it's a great way to make connections with people out in the schools that will be applying to jobs at soon after graduation. I'm a sophomore, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that, so I'm graduating in 2018. Yeah, but the classes, just like Megan was saying, that you look at the textbooks and then you relate that information back to what you're talking about in class. So it's an incredible way to get to know the information at a deeper level. And what's awesome about the education classes is that times you are the educator and you're thinking about how to talk to your students, but other times you're the student. So they'll say, okay, like, think about this as if you were a second grade student in a classroom. What questions would you have, and how would this approach help you learn? And so it's really awesome because you look at both sides and you get to learn from a perspective of a student, but also as the educator.
Great. So do you guys want to touch on some of the professors that you might have had or your career advisor?
Yeah, so my career advisor, Phil, he's amazing. The best part about him is that he answers emails so fast, which is really helpful, especially like if I'm trying to register for classes and I just happen to be in Dublin for the semester and the class I want is like disappeared. It's great to know that I can email him and he will email me right back. But one of my classes that I'm in right now, crime scene investigation, the professor who usually teaches it, who's a great professor, but he's on sabbatical right now, so the woman filling in for him is like a state trooper, and she has all of this experience. She's actually in charge, or not in charge, but she helps with the hiring process for the state police. So there's actually a couple seniors in my class who are going through the hiring process with the state police right now. So it's very interesting to see her try to not tell them like how they're doing in the whole application process. But it's great to know that just by not doing anything beyond going to class, I've already been networking. So just by having these professors, and they're very small classes, so they really get to know me well, I've already networked just by showing up to class and doing what I'm supposed to do as a college student, which is really probably one of the most beneficial parts of having actual professionals teaching you in your classes. and just getting to know them. All my professors have been wonderful people. I love them all.
Okay, so like I mentioned before, a lot of our professors are either retired teachers or teachers in the field right now. So like Megan was saying, it's an incredible networking experience just showing up to class every day. You get to know the professors, and there's really small class sizes, so you get to know them on a personal level, and you get to meet the other people in your class and get to know them as educators and as people. So that's incredible. The way that our field experiences work, we have a class that's attached to it, and so my supervisor right now is actually the professor in the primary curriculum classroom, so she is incredible. Like the other day we made butter in class and we talked about how we can integrate stuff like that into our classroom, and so it's just a lot of fun, and she makes it really interesting, and a lot of the professors do. They make it really engaging, and they touch on all the different aspects of having a classroom. They really bring in the real life experience that they have out in the field, and it gives us an opportunity to learn from stories that they have in their jobs and relate it back to the material that we're learning in class. And so it's just incredible, and they're all extremely organized and nice and kind, and they really want you to succeed, and they're really interested in helping you get to where you want to be.
So Michelle, you mentioned having a minor. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the requirements for that are and how you decide to do that and stuff like that?
Yeah, so my minor is foreign languages. So the way it works is you have to choose 2 languages. One is a primary and one's a secondary. So in total, I take 6 classes that count towards my minor. So I take 2 French classes and I'll take 4 Spanish. And I was interested in it just because I love the Spanish language and I wanted to kind of learn a little bit of French, and I love inculcating that into a classroom. I think it's really important to have cultural diversity and different perspectives in a classroom. So I figured I would take a minor in foreign languages and figure out how I can relate that back to my students. So it's a very easy process. I have a specific advisor for my minor, and she's incredible. She's actually my Spanish professor. So she's super approachable, and she's really nice to talk to because I can take Spanish classes at St. Michael's, and she's an awesome person because she kind of can help me figure out which classes fit into my schedule and how to help transfer those credits back here to Champlain. So even if Champlain doesn't offer a class past Spanish 4, I'll be able to go over there and take a literature class that will count towards my minor as well.
Great. So for the Education and Human Studies Division, in 2014, we had 100% of graduates either employed or continuing education after graduation, which is obviously a pretty popular thing for our education major specifically. And then we had 88% of those employed within their field. So I know, Michelle, education majors obviously have a lot of kind of like placements or internships. So both of you can kind of touch on any internships you've had or different things like that.
So I haven't had any internships yet, just because like for some reason every year I'm like, oh, I'll wait until next year. Oh, I'll wait until next year, and now it's almost my senior year, and I'm like, oh no, internships. So I'm in the process of applying for some summer ones. Like Emily talked about, like feels like forever ago, being in this in Burlington in the summer is really great, and especially for criminal justice and social work and psychology, there's a lot of amazing organizations that go on in Burlington, just because it is kind of like the city of Vermont. So I'm applying to a bunch of places for summer internships, and it's really helpful that I have a good relationship with my academic advisor, because he's just always like sending me things. He's like, hey, this place does some things that sound like what you like, so you should check it out. I'm like, thanks, Phil. However, when I studied abroad in Dublin, so I was in a community advocacy and inquiry class, and it wasn't an internship that I had, but it was more similar to the placements that the ed majors have. So I was actually working 1 day a week in an after-school program with disadvantaged youth in like right outside of Dublin. Technically doesn't count as an internship, but in my mind I count it as an internship just because the experiences that I got were very relevant to my field, and it kind of helped me figure out what I look for in internships now and, you know, future careers as well. So
one thing that I love about the education department is that internships are worked into our curriculum. And so second semester last year, I had a quick little observational internship where we would go once a week for a few hours to observe a preschool classroom just to kind of get your foot in the door and see what it's about and see if it's really what you want to do. Some people got in the classroom and were like, wow, I really don't like working with kids. This isn't the place for me. So it was awesome to get to know kind of if this is what you want to do. And so sophomore year, you have two placements. There's a primary placement, which is kindergarten through second grade, and then a preschool placement, which is in a preschool classroom in the community. And so I started off with preschool, and the way it works is you have 2 half days in a preschool classroom, and then you have a curriculum class that goes with it here at Champlain. So it's nice because you get the information you need to get about teaching preschool and how to get through to those students in the curriculum classroom, and then you're here at Champlain, and then you're able to apply that to the classroom at the preschool. So that's incredible. And then this semester, I'm in a kindergarten class out in an elementary school in Allenbrook, in Williston. It's called Allenbrook. And once again, I have the curriculum class here at Champlain, and I'm able to apply the information that I learned there to my internship out in Allenbrook, which is incredible. And I'm very excited because next semester I get to have an internship in a school out in New Zealand while I'm studying abroad. So they really do an amazing job of getting you in schools that are variable grades and levels so that when you get to your senior year and you are full-time student teaching, you're prepared with a bunch of experience and different ideas from the experience that you've gained out in the field. So that's one thing that I love about the education department.
All right, well, thanks, Megan and Michelle, for talking about our Education and Human Studies division. So one of the questions that we often get is, you know, what do I do if I don't know what I want to do when I come to Champlain? Or what if I change my mind or find out that I actually want to major in something else? So I know that both Emily and Duncan have some experience with changing their major, so if you guys both want to talk about your individual experiences with that, that'd be great.
Emily, you can go first. Ladies first.
Okay. So coming here, I did a bunch of business classes before in my high school, so I knew I wanted to do business, but I wasn't entirely sure what area I really wanted to focus in, so I just kind of stuck with the business admin, thought that was probably the best bet for me. But I definitely recommend go to open houses, hear what every professor has to say, because after attending one of the open houses, they started talking about this major, management innovation. I was like, what the heck is management innovation? And it turns out it's very similar to business administration major, except you're taking innovation classes on top of it, which I was like, whoa, that sounds very awesome for sure. And so I actually ended up switching. So my second semester, I was considered a management innovation major, and I haven't looked back since.
So for me, it was a little bit different. So when I was still in high school, I was about a junior in high school when I first came to Champlain, when I stepped foot on campus. My sister also goes to college in the area, so we decided to come to Champlain, tour the school, and I heard that they had an excellent ITS department. And so I wanted to go into computer science. And then later towards my junior year of high school, I took a class that worked with JavaScript, Alice, and then we got to coding. And I did not like coding at all. And coding's kind of hit or miss for people. It's either you understand code and it's really, really great, or you just don't get it. And I was that person. So when I applied as undeclared, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to go into computer science too much. I didn't really like it enough to actually be happy with it. And so when I came to Admitted Students Day, I met with, when she was a junior, then now a senior. Her name is Molly McGee, and she said, you know, you'd be really great at PR. I said, what's PR? And she explained to me what the program and what the curriculum consists of. And I said, you know, that actually sounds really great. And so about a month before I came to orientation last fall, I said, hey, Mom, you know what, I think I'm going to change to public relations. You know, Molly kind of told me to do that. I think that would be really, really great. If not communications, because I'm also like to talk to a lot of people. And so I thought that would be a really good fit for me. And then I had 3 of my major classes. I took Media and Society, a graphic design course, and a video storytelling course. And when I got into those 3 courses, plus my 2 core classes, I immediately fell in love with the major, and I haven't looked back since, even though it's only my first year here, but I'm really excited to find out what I'm going to do for the years to come.
All right, thanks, guys. So now that we've covered all of the divisions, the other third of your education at Champlain is in the core division. So it's basically the way that Champlain does your general education requirements that you're going to have to take at any school, but instead of doing like English 101 or History 101 and reading textbooks and taking exams, you take these very discussion-based, project-based classes that kind of combine art and English and psychology and all different disciplines throughout your 4 years here. So instead of just explaining it really vaguely like that, I thought it would make more sense if we just had everyone talk about your favorite core class that you've taken while you're at Champlain, because I'm sure that among the 8 of you, you've taken a lot of different classes. So if we want to start at Allie and just kind of go down the line.
Yeah, sorry, I said to unmute myself. Yeah, so being a senior, I've definitely taken my fair share of core classes here. Gotten them all in, which is great. My favorite one was Heroes and Heroines. So I guess the best way to put it, somebody can jump in too if they want to correct me, but in my experience, it was more of kind of a literature-based class, and we focused on different type of hero archetypes and study them through books and through movies. And I remember it so much because my final project in that class, we didn't have a test or anything, it was just a presentation. We got to choose a hero and follow the hero's journey, and I did Finding Nemo. So I got, my whole presentation was on Nemo and how he was a hero, just the Disney nerd in me. But it was just so exciting, and so they kind of tailor it to, you know, there were probably some students in my class that did maybe a video game that they're really interested in, and they did the hero from the video game, or a movie that they really love. So it really tailored to each person and how much, you know, what you wanted to do with that. So, and I found that through all my core classes that because we all came from different majors, because we all came from different majors, we all had different interests, but we were all kind of there for the same reason. So we saw it in different ways, which was what I loved about core, is that, you know, you saw it through other people's light or other people's views. Yeah, so Heroes and Heroines, my favorite. Emily, I'm sure you can.
Adding on to that, just talking about the Heroes and Heroines class, I took that my sophomore year, and that was the class that made me addicted to Once Upon a Time. It was actually a requirement for, we broke out into different groups, and each group had to watch a TV show, or at least the first couple episodes, and kind of determine to use TV as an example of some of the things you learned. And so my group, we were fortunate enough to watch Once Upon a Time, but other groups, there was a group that watched Sherlock, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was just, once again, just pretty cool. My favorite core class is probably Bodies, if I had to choose any of them. Really, really amazing class. I actually just had a discussion today. I was giving a tour, and I actually had a transgender student on my tour, and we had a couple questions about being accepted and what it's like for someone like that to be at a campus. And I immediately went straight to Bodies, and I thought about Bodies. When you're taking this class, you're kind of learning about how humans, and once I keep saying bodies, but really how bodies are represented in society, and the way people view different things. We actually had a project where for a week we had to change something about ourselves, something that was completely out of our comfort zone. I'm incredibly, incredibly extroverted, so I went a day without talking. It was the hardest day of my life, but I actually truly understand what it's like to be introverted, which is pretty interesting for sure. Whereas some people, we have a lot of people that cross-dress, we have a lot of people that try vegan diets. Definitely a very interesting class, but it kind of shows you how our curriculum, anything from watching Once Upon a Time all the way to vegan diets, it can be very interesting, that's for sure, but it really does teach you things that you would never really understand before.
Anyone can go next. Don't be shy.
Okay, I'll go next because I was going to talk about bodies too. So a long, long time ago, back in 2015, Dominique had really long brown hair. And so for my bodies project, I decided I was going to shave my head. So I realized back in high school that my long curly hair was kind of a security blanket for me, and I knew that stepping out of my comfort zone would definitely be getting rid of that security blanket. So I've dyed my hair red, I've shaved it, it's now purple. I just changed that a couple of days ago, but I think one of the most important things about going to school, and not just Champlain College, but in general, is learning about yourself. So learning about your major, also a self-exploration, is really good about just getting to classes and understanding that, like, in the core curriculum. So even in your first year, you get to have classes like rhetoric of self and concepts of self, where you learn about identity, science, and core is a really great way to just learn about all these different things like philosophy and social justice, and you're learning with students who are in your major, who are not in your major. So it's a really great way of just learning about yourself and learning about other people and learning about the world and about the community around you. So it's just this like really great hands-on way to have amazing discussions, and you learn so much, and core has definitely been a really interesting part of my journey so far at Champlain.
Yeah, I can attest to what Dom said. I think that core is a really, really unique aspect of Champlain, mainly because you not only get to learn so much about yourself, which I'm still in the process of doing right now. Your first year, you take concepts of the self and rhetoric of yourself during your first semester, and then concepts of the community and rhetoric of the community your second semester. And so during first semester, you really reflect in on yourself, and you ask yourself certain questions that are really, really thought-provoking. And I took that out of the classroom and I actually applied it to my life. And so I'm so happy that I did that, because I've realized so much through the experiences and through the discussions that I've had through core. So not only do you get to learn more about yourself, but you also get to learn about different people, and you get to meet different people. So core is kind of that one class where you get to have classes with other people from different divisions. So if you're in CCM, there's still going to people. You're still going to have people from EHS, from SSB, from ITS. You'll still get to. That is the one class that you guys can take. So say if you and a roommate want to take a class and you guys are in different divisions, one class that you guys can take together instead of trying to figure out an elective. And so I've met some really, really good friends through core. Some of my best friends now I've met with through core, and I said, hey, do you want to take core next semester? And they said, absolutely, it sounds great. And so I got into not only meet some really, really cool people, but learn a lot about myself. And I think that's a really important thing about, and like Dom said, in any college, is to learn who you are, what you want, and how you want to get there.
Cool. So, like Emily and Dom, I also really enjoyed bodies. This year, last semester, they started making specific body classes with different focuses, and I took bodies dance with Eric Schonstrom, which if you have a chance to take a class with Schonstrom, take it, because he is incredible. But it was amazing because we got to actually learn different types of dance, from salsa to ballet. We did some hip-hop, we did some yoga, so there was a bunch of different stuff that we were doing. It was active, we were outside, but we also talked about the importance of dance and kind of how it's evolved and how it has to do with how we relate to different bodies and how the communication between each other is different. And so for our bodies exposition, which is kind of the culminating event at the end of Bodies, we taught people how to salsa. There was a group of like 4 of us, and we decided to just do that as our final project. And for my Bodies project, I actually ran a mile once a day for a month and recorded different words that I felt after I ran to kind of focus on running and the attachment to mental health and that kind of thing. And it was really cool to see the difference of kind of how I just felt from the day. Like at the beginning it was words like stressed, like all that kind of stuff. First of all, because it was right near midterms, but also because I hadn't been in the routine of doing it. So it was kind of cool because it was something that I'd always been interested in, but the actual like act of going to the gym every day was difficult when it wasn't something to do with the project. So it was nice to kind of explore that different part, and it was just a really fun and engaging class.
So my favorite core class is one I'm taking right now, Concepts of the Community, and I just love it because it's such a great discussion-based class. We've read part of Albion Seed, part of Plato's Republic, and we've just had so many great conversations in the class about what is ethical, how to make a perfect community, and the class I'm in, we just have great discussions. We go back and forth. Our professor just doesn't talk as much. We just talk as a class to each other, not just ourselves, not to the teacher, which I just love.
Fun fact, John and I are actually in the same concepts class, so that's how I know John. And so he will definitely agree with me that it is very heavily discussion based. And so your professor, at least our professor, has said, all right, what do you guys think of this? And he introduces a new topic, and then he just lets people go ham. They raise their hands and people say their point of views, and we talk about it. And it's a really interesting class, and I have a great time in it.
All right, so I'm going to talk about junior year core because, I mean, so far from my experience of core, it's definitely the hardest, but I find that it's also kind of been the most rewarding so far. If you go abroad, it's obviously very different because you're taking classes abroad about whatever culture you're in. And then whenever you're in Burlington, and if you stay in Burlington the whole time, you still would be taking classes about different cultures, but then there's the other part of it, which is human rights and the global condition, and there are 2 separate classes, so I'm in both of those right now, and even though it's been the most work of my college career, I actually really like global condition, because it's so nice to like learn about the world and kind of see how I fit into it, especially since going to a small private school in Vermont, you kind of see a certain perspective, and to learn about it from all different viewpoints, especially with the text that we've been reading, a whole bunch of different theories, it's just really it really opens your mind up, which is kind of the point of core, to take all these different perspectives and sort of view the world in a new paradigm. And I think the global condition definitely does that very well. And also you do a lit review, which I don't know if Emily's in the same class as me. And it's really hard, but like after doing a lit review, you kind of feel like you can conquer anything. And even our professor was saying that she got an email from one of her former students who's now like actually out in like the quote-unquote real world, and she said that like for her work she had to write a lit review, but like thank God she did it in the global condition, because she didn't have to like be at this job and be like, oh my goodness, I have to write this like super scary paper, because she did it in global condition. So I'm kind of thankful to have that under my belt now.
Yeah, totally. And like having done that lit review in the past, you know, it's a massive piece of work, but I've learned a lot from it. Somebody mentioned heroes and heroines being one of their favorite classes, and it was definitely one of my favorites as well. Learning about the kind of theory behind just heroes, and especially folklore and mythology in such like a narrative-driven culture, definitely kind of changed my perspective on how I view the world and storytelling, and you know, everything from superhero movies to children's lullabies. So that was really cool. But probably the other one that I loved the most was Shaking the Spirit, which is a class I got to take in my junior year, and it was the first time that class was being run. And it focuses on Afro-Creole religions, and you know, it's definitely something I did not have any experience with or any knowledge of beforehand. And I know, like, thinking about me being a technology major and the subject matter of Shaking the Spirit maybe doesn't totally line up or make a whole lot of sense. But no, it was really really exciting class to take. We learned a lot about voodoo as it's portrayed in the media versus how it's actually practiced. We learned a lot about the origins of all these various spiritual beliefs, and then I also got to study a lot how that eventually came to influence American culture, and especially, you know, in the area of like New Orleans, kind of the birth of like jazz and blues and rock and roll. It kind of gave a greater context to the entire American experience, learning about Afro-Creole religions, which, you know, doesn't typically sound like a very American thing, right? But and you know, it's not American in origin, but it does lend a greater context to the kind of old melting pot way of looking at the United States. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed that a lot. It was definitely stepping out of my own perspective, and what I had previously really not known about those spiritual beliefs. So yeah, I really enjoyed that class, and the professor who was teaching it just had such a bomb. I really such a good time teaching it. We got into some really awesome discussions. So yeah, that was definitely I think my favorite class.
Yeah, I also took the Afro-Creole religion class with Mary, and it was really fun. And our professor, I always like to tell people, was in the movie Titanic. Really great. All of our core professors, you'll like have a class with them, and they'll be like, oh, I was in the movie Titanic, or oh, I own a yak farm. Like, they're just very cool people, which you will find when you start taking our core classes. And another opportunity you have through our core classes is to go abroad for a week, usually over spring break. A lot of our core classes do travel if you choose not to go abroad. So one of the classes that I took alongside the Afro-Creole religions class was Life in the Amazon, and it included, if you wanted to go, I didn't end up going, but a lot of my classmates chose to, it included a trip over the summer to the Amazon, where students could work, live in the communities and work with all different kinds of wildlife, and so it was a really awesome opportunity for those who went, and a great class to learn about the Amazon as well. So the last question that I'm going to ask you all is about how your core classes have kind of related to your major, just to tie everything together in a neat little bow. So Allie, if you want to start, go ahead. You gotta unmute your microphone.
Sorry. So yeah, I'll just quickly say, so a huge part of core is writing. So not a lot of tests, but a lot of writing papers. And I definitely dragged my feet about this at the beginning. Not something I was super excited about, but it ended up helping me because I'm a digital marketing major. I have to do a lot of content writing, whether that be for search engine optimization, writing for websites, or if it's doing social media, writing for creative content. So I had to do a lot of writing, and writing definitely wasn't one of my skills freshman year, and now it's something that I put at the top of my skills on my resume because of core. So core really forced me to kind of kick my butt on writing, and it really did, and I'm really happy that I was able to take those classes to explore how how actually now great I am at writing and how it's such a great skill of mine where I really was timid about it before. So, you know, it really connected with my major in the fact that, you know, it really prepared me for writing. Yeah.
Okay, well, education being my major, it's pretty applicable to almost anything we'll talk about in core, but specifically my class with Joanne Farrell, I took 2 classes with her, and every time we would write something, she'd say, okay, now how does this apply to your major? And she said, I understand an accounting major might not have much to do with aesthetic expression, but you can find a connection. And so she really made us think outside the box and figure out, okay, what I'm doing here can really be used in my future. And that's occurred with other professors, but Joanne just stood out for me in that aspect. She's awesome.
So for me, it wasn't for core public relations doesn't for public relations core doesn't directly affect it, but the format does. And so the format of my current core classes is discussion based. And so when you are in the PR field, you should be listening to other people's opinions and understand where they're coming from. And so when you're working, say that I am currently employed with a certain company and I'm trying to communicate with another company, you want to make sure that you understand their point of view and their perspective before drawing any conclusions, and take that content of what they said and incorporate it into your response. And I think that core has been amazing practice for that, to be listening to other people, their opinions, and see how you can respond in the best and most appropriate way.
So I guess I'll just like kind of finish us off, and I can totally agree kind of with Duncan. So the 2 classes that I definitely think definitely relate to business are concepts of the self and concepts of community. These are kind of like psych classes a little bit. I'd say if you had to compare it to anything, that's what we could kind of compare it to. But these are classes that you're actually learning things about yourself and how you interact with others. You learn if you're left-brained versus right-brained, a bunch of things like that. I think it's definitely crucial for everyone to even know. If you're working in any team, not just business, but definitely business, you need to understand why some people are reacting certain ways, just kind of how Duncan was also saying, very similar. So these classes really help you understand to kind of take a step back and view it from other perspectives other than just that one that you came in with. So definitely crucial to the whole curriculum. I definitely think without core, you wouldn't see as much as a complete circle. You'd see more of a triangle. So I think core is a great way to kind of make it flow all together.
All right, so that just about ends it for our Google Hangout tonight. So thank you to everyone who was able to join us. Our next Google Hangout is going to be this Thursday, which is April 14th. It's already April. I'm overwhelmed. And that's going to be at 7 p.m. You can find the link either on our blog, which is champlainadmissions.champlain.edu, or you can follow us on Twitter at ChamplainSA for all kinds of updates about that kind of stuff. So have a nice night, everyone, and thanks for tuning in.